Tampa. Then next year, Tampa Bay figures to be right around that 500 mark, would lose Craig Erickson with no compensation. Here, they dish him off to the Colts, who desperately need a quarterback. And I'm not going to get into that Bill Tobin nonsense here, but it's ironic that these two teams are going to be talking quarterbacks here. But as far as Trent Dilfer is concerned, he's the man. He's been working out 3 to 4 days every day with Alvin Harper, getting coaching from their quarterback instructor down there, Turk Schonert, and they feel Dilfer now. He doesn't have that glazy-eyed look when they ask him a question about the game plan or plays or whatever. He's ready to roll, and it's a key year for Trent Dilfer.
All right, well, with about 2 minutes, a little and change left on the clock, we have word that there may be a trade in this spot, which doesn't surprise us, because the defensive line, the pass rusher, the home run hitter type, this is what all teams covet, and this is a spot where Warren Sapp, Mike Mamula, or some other names a little bit farther down the line, Ellis Johnson, they come into play. And teams like a Philadelphia, teams like a Minnesota, teams that think that they need some help there, know that the players are there that they want at number 7. So as we wait for the card, now we don't know if the card has gone up yet because conveniently the podium is 180 degrees behind my head, and I'm not going to show a national audience the back and the top of my head. Okay? That's just the way it works. and everybody here backs me up.
They're clamoring for it. They want to see it.
Later on in the 4th. Oh, I'm 40 in a couple weeks. Give me a break, you know? About 2 minutes left on the clock for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, followed by Seattle, followed by the Jets. Let's go to the commissioner now and see what happens.
We've had a trade between Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. Tampa Bay has traded to Philadelphia this pick, first choice in the 7th round, as well as Tampa Bay's 3rd round pick, which is the 72nd, 7-2 overall. In return, Tampa Bay gets Philadelphia's choice in the 1st round, which is number 12, Philadelphia's choice in the 2nd round, which is number 43, and Philadelphia's additional choice in the 2nd round, which is number 63. So Philadelphia is now on the clock. And Philadelphia has now made a selection. With the 7th pick just acquired from Tampa Bay, the Eagles select defensive end from Boston College, Mike Mamula.
All right, the Eagles have pulled the trigger.
Mike Mamula from Boston College.
Mike Mamula, the pick from Boston College. The Eagles have pulled the trigger. They had 3 second-round picks going into this draft. To make a move like that, they just spent 2 of them. Let's go down to Mark Malone and find out the Eagles didn't wait long on getting their man Mamula. Mark?
Thanks, Chris. No, they certainly did. And Ray Rhodes, you said today that you would work the phones as much as you possibly could to get a defensive lineman. Mike Mamula was there, along with some other guys you liked. Why Mamula?
Well, first of all, I went to the draft. I had a chance to work Mamula out, and I was very impressed. And I felt in order for the Philadelphia Eagles to get over the hump here, we need to bring in a big-time pass rush, and Mamula fits that bill.
You now might have to move Romanowski inside. We had talked about that a little bit this morning. Is that something that will definitely happen?
That's a possibility. We're going to look at a whole lot of options and everything, but we're very excited about getting Mamula.
He's an impact player. Can he play linebacker? And everybody said he's kind of a tweener. Where will he play for you?
Well, right now he's going to be a rush end for us, but he can also play linebacker. He has great movement, and I think he's a great football player.
Now, there were a lot of players still available. Ellis Johnson was still out there. Warren Sapp. How much of the information that trickled down today made it difficult to take Sapp, or did Mike Mamula make that choice easy for you?
Well, first of all, Mamula is one of the guys we had targeted to go after in the draft. He was our #1 choice of guys to go after, and we were able to get the things accomplished.
You told me you had a price that you wanted to pay to try to move up. Did you pay what you wanted, or did you end up paying a little bit more than you'd like to?
Well, you know, that's to be debated. You know, I mean, first of all, when you want a player, you go after him. And this is the player we wanted, and we went after him.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. The first pick with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm sure he'll be a great one. Right now, let's send it down to Gary Danielson.
Rich McKay said going into this draft he did not want to fall in love with any one player, and really that's what's happened. They were, I think, surprised and that Warren Sapp was there, but they were hoping that Kevin Carter was there. St. Louis took Kevin Carter right in front of him, and then immediately Tampa Bay said there's a lot of depth at this position. Let's trade down. Rich McKay said, if I trade down, I want to get at least second-round players. I'm kind of surprised he was able to get 2 second-round players. War room reaction, Sam Weiss, and you can see him shaking hands with Rich McKay. very happy with this deal. This is a team that needs linebacker help, needs corner help, needs help on the defensive line. I think the depth at the defensive line position really made this trade possible. Chris?
All right, Gary, thank you. So Tampa Bay and Philadelphia making the move. Tampa Bay and Philly swapping the 2 first-round picks, going from 7 to 12 or 12 to 7, vice versa. Philadelphia also gets a third. Tampa Bay gets 2 seconds. Philly's top of their 3 and their bottom of their 3. Philly keeps their middle second-round pick. Let's go to Mike Gottfried up at our studios in Bristol, Connecticut. And, Coach, Mike Mamula opened your eyes among everyone else's this year, didn't he?
Chris, he's really a good player. When you look at it, as a junior, he played outside linebacker, and as a senior, he played the 4-3 defensive end, so he can play both. Let's take a look at Mike Mamula. Outside speed rush, he's outstanding. A lot of pro people I talked to said first step, he beats the offensive tackle of the outside here, and he did it against great competition. Here you see him against the run, being able to take on a block, now get rid of the blocker and make the tackle. So the concern that people have, maybe he's not big enough, he is strong enough. And what I like about him is he can play in space as an outside linebacker. You look at him, he's outside here against the option, but is able to make the play on the quarterback. So he brings a lot of things to the table, and he had 11 sacks as a junior, 13 as a senior. He really is a fine football player.
All right, Coach, thank you. Mel, let's talk about Mike Mamula, because very few times have players risen like this. I mean, this is like an Apollo, like an Apollo rocket here.
He did, Chris. You know, during the year, we knew he was productive and he was an intense, great motor type player. But he was a combination defensive end, outside linebacker. He went to the NFL Advisory Board. They said rounds 3 through 7. He didn't listen. He got some great advice. And if you want to say it was the OBC staff or whatever, whoever wants it, somebody should take credit for it, because Mamula made a heck of a decision, made himself millions of dollars by coming out early and not going back to BC, where he would risk major injury that could cost him a lot of money. You look at the combine numbers, 4.58 speed, 26 reps, bench press, 225 pounds, 26 times, 38 vertical. Those are numbers that are remarkable and probably the best that's ever been recorded for a combination defensive end outside linebacker, Chris. If you want to compare him to somebody, how about a faster, more athletic version of Bryce Paup, who was a 5th-round pick by the Green Bay Packers and just signed for a big contract with the Buffalo Bills.
Let me set the stage for you right now. Warren Sapp is there, his college coach, now head coach of the Seahawks. Dennis Erickson has the next pick. If that wasn't the best spot on the Seahawks team, Cortez Kennedy, Sam Adams, a defensive tackle, Warren Sapp would go to Seattle. After that, it's the Jets with their fans here in New York. The decibel level's rising. Stay with us.
Our German engineers could have road tested the new Porsche 911 Carrera 4 back home in Germany. They could have taken the 270 horsepower engine out on the Autobahn again, or driven the Black Forest with the all-wheel drive and radical suspension. They could have done all that back home. But then, they wouldn't have gotten all this neat stuff.
You're beautiful. You're everything I ever wanted.
If you love your car, what you put on it should be more than just a wax. New Zymol Natural Liquid Auto Polish protects your finish with beeswax and shines with rare Brazilian carnauba. Safe, naturally derived ingredients, so pure, powerful, perfect.
Oh, so beautiful.
New Zymol Natural Liquid Auto Polish.
So how's it looking for the Blackhawks?
Well, it's a shorter season. We've had to put things together a little quicker. You know, we had to pick up the pace a little bit. But I think the guys adapted pretty well. You know, they've gained half a step.
Well, we're used to having about 500 or 600 gallery guards, but now that we have moved the venue of the NFL draft to the Paramount Theater, there are about 3,000, 3,500 fans here at the mini Madison Square Garden, here at the Paramount Theater, and the Jets are on deck. Seattle is up now. We'll talk about Seattle in a moment. They want to stretch the field and probably go wide receiver Galloway, maybe, just maybe, tight end Brady. But I got to think it's the home run hitter Galloway. But Mel, Mamula, Kevin Carter have gone. Defensive linemen in the first round. hasn't been a great success rate in recent years, has it?
Not at all. Teams have done okay early, but from that mid to late portion of the first round, the bust rate is about 76%. When I say bust rate, I'm talking about players not fulfilling their potential in terms of developing into dominant players. Remember names like Ted Gregory, Sean Knight, Jason Buck, Darrell Sims, all these players, Aaron Jones, all busts in terms of not developing their talent at the pro level. So when you get down past 10, 11, 12, that's a risky proposition because a lot of times these guys are drafted in terms of potential. And as we know, Chris, potential gets you fired.
Well, one thing that we don't usually see, guys, is wide receivers going certainly in the top 5, as Michael Westbrook did, number 4 to the Washington Redskins, and maybe 3 in the top 10, which is what we could have with Joey Galloway, Ohio State, and J.J. Stokes, UCLA, coming up. Joe, as we look at in recent years, Desmond Howard, and that turned out to be a pick that certainly did not pan out for the Redskins in '92. He went with the 4th overall pick. Well, we're going to go to these guys first. It's unusual that 3 may go in the top 10. Are these fellas worth it?
It's unusual, Chris, but this is an unusual year. You have teams that have specific needs that need to be filled. Michael Westbrook is a big kid. He fills the Redskin need very well. Joey Galloway would fill Seattle's need because they need somebody who can flat out run. And take a look at the second line under Joey Galloway. 40-yard dash, 4.18 seconds. That is just flat flying. I mean, your hair's blowing back, Chris. Most of it, anyway. And then you look at J.J. Stokes. He's the most polished of the receivers, and you got to think, well, the Jets are losing Rob Moore. Wouldn't they use a guy like J.J. Stokes to fill in there? So we could see these kids go bang, bang in the next couple of picks.
Yes, that's for sure, and it would be 3 in the top 9. Let's, for a moment, we started talking about Desmond Howard. Historically here, wide receivers in the top 5. Desmond Howard went 4th in '92, and that didn't work with Washington. You have to go all the way back to '84. That's 11 years ago to find the last time before Desmond that someone went in the top 5. Fryer, number 1 overall with the Patriots. Kenny Jackson, a nice young player who had injury problems, curtail his career with the Philadelphia Eagles. So this is unusual, and Jet fans certainly remember in 1980 that Johnny Lamb Jones went in the 2nd round. He was fast, and he was fast out of town, unfortunately, after a few years. But could it be Galloway and Stokes coming up next? Let's go to Chris Mortensen down at Carolina Panthers headquarters. Mort?
Well, Chris, you're talking about the wide receivers and Desmond Howard going 4th. I actually had that conversation with Norv Turner, the Redskins coach, about a week ago, and I said, Norv, you took a receiver 4th? He said, well, I wasn't here then. He really believed Westbrook was another Michael Irvin or a Jerry Rice type. And now you look at Seattle, Galloway gives them speed. J.J. Stokes gives him great red zone presence with all the touchdowns he can score. Another guy, as you mentioned, Kyle Brady, Penn State tight end. But late medical information on Kyle Brady came to the teams this week about a bulging disc in his back. He played with it at Penn State, but they think it could hurt him in the weight room. And so it'll be interesting to see if Brady goes as high as some people thought he would.
All right, Mort, thanks. 5 minutes, a little less than 5 minutes now on the Seattle Seahawks first pick. And the first pick in the Dennis Erickson era as he's taken over in his home state to coach the professional football team in his home state of Washington. Earlier on SportsCenter, about a half an hour before the draft, we're talking about the man he coached at college at Miami, Warren Sapp. We asked him if he were in the position to take Warren Sapp, would he make that selection?
Well, right now, we're looking at position, and obviously we've been through this draft. Our need right now, if it works out, as everybody knows, is a wide receiver, and that's our need. So we've got Sam Adams and Cortez Kennedy at tackle, so we've got to do what's best for this football team. But if we were in a need of a tackle, I'd take him in a second, without a doubt.
Yeah, and knowing Dennis the way we do, he really, if it was anything different, that wasn't the best part of his football team, he's already made the pick. But as a result, less than 4 minutes to go, Seattle still has not made a decision. We'll be back.
True Value salutes Junior Seau for his kindness, his generosity, his compassion, and his helpfulness.